Welcome to another edition of Northwestern Outdoors Radio, the weekly show covering the great outdoors in the Pacific Northwest and Rocky Mountain West. Fishing, hunting, conservation, recreation, and destinations, we cover that and more. Northwestern Outdoors is brought to you by Mack, the Wallowa County Chamber of Commerce, and the Northern Pike Minnow Sport Reward Fishery Program. Now, let's see what's in store this week. Here's your host, John Kruse.
Welcome to the show. I know quite a few of you tuning in today are either on your way or actually hunting. That's because a whole bunch of seasons have opened up this weekend. That includes Idaho's deer and elk that opened up in many areas yesterday. Oregon's pheasant and partridge season in eastern Oregon is open. That includes quail, and the general duck season opens in both Washington and Oregon. What else is going on? Oh, a little thing called the General Rifle Deer Season Opener. That is a really big deal for Washington deer hunters. As for me, I got to get out last weekend on the quail opener in eastern Washington. My best friend Rusty, my Springer Spaniel Sam, and I, we traversed about 1 2/3 miles of terrain. Saw lots of quail tracks, but only saw one quail that was in heavy cover. We could never get at that covey, and that was it. But that's okay. We went fishing the next day instead. This week on the show, we're going to be talking about hunting with outdoors writer Troy Rodakowski. He's been doing some upland bird hunting himself in Oregon State where he lives, and he's going to give you some advice on how to succeed during this very crowded opening weekend of duck hunting. And more importantly, how to succeed after this weekend when all these local birds are educated and the northern birds haven't made it down yet. How do you get these birds to commit to your decoy spread? Troy's got some pretty good tips for you there. Another guest we'll have on today is Brianna Bruce. She's the owner of Livin Life Adventures. She's based in Northwest Washington, and she is fishing for coho on the Skagit River near Mount Vernon. She'll tell you how she expects the fishing to be and what she's using to get coho salmon on the boat. We're going to talk to somebody else about catching coho salmon out of our area rivers in both Oregon and Washington, too. That would be Bob Loomis with Mack's Lure, and he's got a few different ideas that he'll share that differ from Brianna's. And Kyle Clark, he is a bass fishing guide and tournament angler. He's the owner of P&W Fishing Adventures, and he just fished the semifinals for the Bass Federation down in Boardman, Oregon. Interesting setup where Oregon professional anglers had Washington co-anglers, and Kyle, being from Washington State, was set up with an Oregon co-angler. He'll tell you how things went. He'll also tell you about the Bass Federation National Championship and what's at stake there. And then we'll turn our attention to October bass fishing. He's got some lakes he loves to fish in western Washington for both smallmouth and largemouth bass, and he'll tell you how he's catching both and how you can too. On top of this, we've got some outdoors news for you to include bear problems in Wyoming and Idaho, and in the latter state, a hiker was recently attacked. Fortunately, he's going to be okay. And we'll wrap things up today with a bizarre story about a volunteer arrested at the Issaquah Salmon Hatchery in Washington State after making a string of bizarre fake 911 calls. You'll definitely want to stick around for the end of the program to hear this story brought to us by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. But before we get into all this, let's see what's in store for us this week on BirdNote.
This is BirdNote. In winter, flocks of white geese gather by the thousands in fields and marshes of the U.S. and Mexico. All the birds in this flock flying through North Texas have white bodies, black-tipped wings, and pink legs. But on closer inspection, they appear to come in two different sizes. That's because this flock is a mix of both the petite Ross's goose and the heftier snow goose. The pair are a great example of what science calls sister species, which occur when a portion of one species takes an evolutionary step away from the rest, resulting in a species split. In this case, genetic studies suggest that the Ross's goose branched away from its snow goose relatives more than 2 million years ago. possibly because advancing glaciers separated the two populations. After spending millennia in isolation, the Ross's goose evolved to be about 2/3 the size of a snow goose, with a noticeably shorter neck, smaller bill, and higher-pitched voice, too. So next time you spot a flock of white geese, see if you can tell the sisters apart. We've got tips and tricks for distinguishing between look-alike species at our website, birdnote.org. I'm Michael Stein.
BirdNote is proud to share its storytelling with fans of Northwestern Outdoors Radio. You can help inspire more people to care about the natural world by making a tax-deductible donation at birdnote.org. Support BirdNote today with a gift of any amount at birdnote.org.
Did you know we actually have a sponsorship opportunity available for this show? You can be a sponsor of Northwestern Outdoors Radio, reaching thousands of listeners every week, tuning in to 69 stations in 7 states. Contact me through my website at northwesternoutdoors.com and let's get a conversation started. That's northwesternoutdoors.com. Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse, and we've got some outdoors news for you. We're going to start off in the state of Wyoming, where bears have been causing some problems. As a matter of fact, in Fremont County, Brian DeBolt, the large carnivore conflict coordinator for Wyoming Game and Fish, says, "We have seen increased bear activity at lower elevations this year from Du Bois to Lander, mainly with bears focusing on natural foods." He continued, "We are asking people to be careful about storing anything that might attract bears to unnatural food sources. So, secure those attractants. Store all food, garbage, livestock feed, pet food, and other potential bear attractants in bear-proof containers or inside a secure building. You should also protect your pets, livestock, and gardens. Confine domestic animals in a hard-sided building at night with a security latch door. Do not feed cats or dogs outdoors, and consider constructing an electric fence around vegetable gardens, compost piles, beehives, fruit trees, domestic flocks, and other attractants you want to protect from bears. Residents in need of electric fencing materials or assistance setting up an electric fence can contact the Game and Fish Jackson Regional Office." And heading from Fremont County in Wyoming to Fremont County in Idaho, the bear problem there was worse, at least for one hiker. A hiker was injured in a bear attack near Squirrel Creek in Fremont County on Tuesday afternoon, September 30th. The hiker, an adult male, was traveling alone on the south rim of Squirrel Creek when a bear charged at him through the thick timber from a short distance away. The bear bit the man as it ran past him and continued into the forest. Despite his injuries, the man was able to hike out on his own to seek medical attention. Idaho Fish and Game staff have posted signs in the area advising of bear activity. The bear's behavior was likely defensive and caused by the surprise close encounter. Due to the nature of this encounter, no further management actions are planned at this time. That means they're not going to go out and try to find it and kill it. But they do have some information for you as a hiker spending time in Idaho's backcountry. Number 1, hike in groups of 3 or more people. Avoid hiking after dark or at dawn or dusk when bears are most active. And I know this poses problems for hunters who are on the move at these times of day. Idaho Fish and Game continues, use extra caution in places where visibility or hearing is limited, such as brushy areas near streams. Number 2, be alert. See the bear before you surprise it. Watch for fresh tracks, scat, and feeding sites. That would be signs of digging, rolled rocks, torn up logs, ripped open anthills. Next, make noise. When hiking, periodically yell, "Hey bear," to alert bears to your presence, especially when walking through dense vegetation, blind spots, traveling upwind near loud streams, or on windy days. Not mentioned with Idaho Fish and Game is, of course, the theory of having bear bells when you're hiking, little bells to alert bears to your presence. Next, avoid thick brush whenever possible. Bears often use the same trails hikers do and are attracted to sources of food like berry patches or carcasses. Finally, carry bear spray and know how to use it. I know a lot of this advice is counterintuitive for hunters, but it does make hunters more aware of dangerous situations they can find themselves in when in the backcountry. Next, we've got Brianna Bruce on the line. She is the owner of Livin Life Adventures, and she has been fishing for coho in the Puget Sound area. Bree, welcome back to the show.
Always good to be here, John.
So I understand you are done with fishing in the Sound. Is that because there's no more coho in the Sound?
No, there's still fish out there. We usually can fish pretty well through the middle of October out there, but it's just, the leaves start to change color and we get those crisp mornings and the rivers just call me. So I grab the jet sled and head up to the rivers.
Which rivers are you fishing this month?
I am just fishing the Skagit because they shut us down on the Snohomish. So we only have the Skagit. The Stillaguamish is technically open too, but I don't fish that one. I just fish up at the Skagit.
And how's the run on the Skagit? What's the forecast this year?
It's a pretty good forecast. We should have a plenty strong run, and it's already been great, and it should only get better. It is currently open through the end of October, and most of the time we get extensions into November and sometimes even December, and we catch chrome bright fish that whole time.
Nice. Is it a 2 hatchery fish limit?
It's a 2 fish limit, but we can have either hatchery or wild.
Oh, this is wonderful news. All right. Next, how are you catching them?
My favorite is casting and retrieving plugs like wiggleworts. I use the brads just regular size. The 29 or the 94 are my 2 favorite colors. And we just drift down the river and cast and retrieve those. A lot of times we'll kind of mix it up and do some spinners, something like that. But plugs are kind of the go-to. They always work, and they're super easy for everyone to fish.
Absolutely. Are there particular colors you like to use?
I really like the 29 and the 94. Pretty much anything like pink, purple work really well. And depending on watercolor, some of the orange, like the 17, work really good too.
What about chartreuse? I've heard pros and cons about this for coho in October.
I love chartreuse for coho. And actually that 94 is pink and purple with a chartreuse bill. So I get the best of everything. And it is probably my go-to plug.
Last questions. Do you have any openings for this month?
I do. I will be hunting here and there, but I've got a couple days in between deer and elk season.
All right. Well, if you want to go fishing with a great guide on the Skagit River for coho, the person to contact is Brianna Bruce. You can contact her through her Facebook page at Livin, no G, Life Adventures, or just go to Livin, no G, lifeadventures.com. Thanks so much, Bree.
Thanks, John.
Heading to the Beaver State. Oregon State Parks is great about having events for folks to do at their state parks throughout the year. And this coming week, there's a few to tell you about. One of them's in the Willamette Valley along the Middle Fork of the Willamette River at Elijah Bristow State Park. It's a wetland water where you're going to check out the wetlands and the wildlife that live there on a guided 3-mile walk. That's on Tuesday, October 14th at 9 a.m. Registration is required, and you can do that at the Oregon State Parks website. Just go to the Things to Do and Events page. Next Sunday on October 19th at Fort Stevens State Park at 9 a.m., there's a Let's Go Birding event at Coffinberry Lake. It's basically a guided bird hike. And on that same day at Tryon Creek State Natural Area, not far from Portland, it's Mushroom Mania 2025, where you're going to learn all about mushrooms and go on guided hikes at either 10 a.m., noon, or 1 p.m. Not only will you learn about mushrooms, you'll get to go on a scavenger hunt on the trails for your own ceramic mushroom, 1 per person. There's face painting for the kids and vendors and a hands-on table exploring edible species in the Pacific Northwest. I can't help but wonder if my friend Sharon Trammell, who just wrote a new book about foraging to include foraging for mushrooms and how to cook them up, is going to be there. We'll have to find out when we ask her on the show next week. The times for this event, it runs from 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. Finally, we've got some good news for seniors in Montana who like to go big game hunting. From Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, we learned that when the legislature in Montana passed a House bill earlier this year, it expanded hunting privileges for Montana residents 75 years of age and older. The new provision allows residents who are 75 or older to use a general elk license to harvest an antlerless elk on private lands during any season in a hunting district where youth under 15 may harvest an antlerless elk. The hunting districts where residents 75 years of age and older can harvest a cow elk on private land with General elk licenses are located in western and southwest Montana. All sorts of game management units from Region 2, that's in the Missoula area, and Region 3, which is in the Bozeman area. As you know, they talk a lot about seniors aging out of the sport, but this is one reason to keep at it. Stick around. We've got more outdoors news for you, including an extended Max Minute coming at you in just a couple minutes.
Our beautiful state of Oregon is worth protecting. The northern red-legged frog, a small amphibian that's only a few inches long, will travel up to 3 miles between summer and winter homes, often forced to cross busy highways to get there in a real-life game of Frogger. That's a big feat for such a tiny frog. Together, we can preserve Oregon's natural wonders like the northern red-legged frog. Oregon, it's worth protecting. Learn about the northern red-legged frog, other species, and conservation efforts at OregonIsWorthProtecting.com.
Did you know we actually have a sponsorship opportunity available for this show? That's right. You can be a sponsor of Northwestern Outdoors Radio, reaching thousands of listeners every week, tuning in to 69 stations in 7 states. If you have a business that caters to outdoors enthusiasts, this is the platform for you, and you're going to find it's much more affordable than you think. Contact me through my website at northwesternoutdoors.com, and let's get a conversation started. That's northwesternoutdoors.com.
Welcome back to Northwestern Outdoors Radio and to an extended Max Minute brought to you by Max Lure.
You know what time it is? It's time for another extended Max Minute. With us again is Bob Loomis.
Thank you, John.
Let's talk about fishing for coho salmon. That's definitely a thing in both Oregon and Washington this time of year. And a lot of folks are still doing it in the ocean, but a lot of these coho are coming into tributary rivers. How do you go about catching them?
Well, John, you know, the thing that's great right now is we're getting to that point in the season when everything's starting to get a little bit of rain, so you're starting to push those silvers up into the tributaries. And once you start getting them in the tributaries, I mean, everybody gets excited about going out and catching cohos on the river. Throwing hardware or, you know, throwing stuff like I fish the quarter-ounce Promise Keepers and the rock dancers predominantly, and they work fantastic, either twitching them, cast and retrieve, drifting them, you know, just anything to trigger that bite. And both of them work very, very well for that style of fishing.
What colors do you like to use when it comes to both the Promise Keeper spinner and the Rock Dancer jig?
My number one favorite is a chartreuse red dot. A close one, though, is the pink. The hot pink works really well. You know, you take the treble hook off on the rivers where you can only fish single barbless hooks, and you can actually put a small squid body on there to get a contrasting color on it. And with the rock dancers, my 2 favorite colors, the one is chartreuse and black, and I actually put like a hot pink wormtail on it.
Oh.
And then the cerise and purple works really well, and I will actually put a hot chartreuse tail on that one, so it gives it a contrasting color. But that pink and chartreuse together are my favorite colors to, you know, they're not only high UV, but they also work extremely well and are great for triggering fish to bite.
Well, there you go, folks. A couple ideas on how to catch some coho out of rivers near you this fall. You can find both the Rock Dancer jig, which is great for twitching, or the Promise Keeper spinner, which is just fantastic for cast and retrieving, at sporting goods stores near you or online at maxlure.com.
Targeting kokanee? Then tie on a double whammy kokanee pro from Max Lure. Built like the tried and true wedding ring spinner, the double whammy kokanee pro has a double hook tie, high VU beads, a wedding ring band, and an ultralight smile blade. It's the perfect lure to fish at any time of the year and shines in the early season when water temps are cold and you're trolling at a slow speed. Look for the double whammy kokanee pro at a sporting goods store or online at maxlure.com.
The Northern Pike Minnow Sport Reward Fishery Program is underway and continues through September 30th. Fish for pike minnow 9 inches or longer on portions of the Columbia and Snake Rivers. Turn these fish in at a check station for a cash voucher. Pike minnow are worth anywhere from $6 to $10, and the more you catch, the more they're worth. Catch a fish with a pit tag or external tag and earn hundreds of dollars. You can make big money here, maybe over $100,000. Find out more today at pikeminnow.org. That's pikeminnow.org.
You're back in with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse. We've got my friend Troy Rodakowski on the line. He's that veteran outdoors writer from Junction City, Oregon. Troy, welcome back to the show.
Hey, man, it's always great to be on with you, John.
So you've been doing a little bird hunting as of late, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. You know, once the bird seasons open up, it's time to go. The dog reminds you every fall when it's time to get going. They get a little antsy and pent up energy, you know, over the summer.
So what have you been after? I know that Western Oregon quail opened up last week.
Yep, we've done some quail hunting. We've done some dove hunting. We did a little bit of grouse hunting here in the hills, in the Coast Range and lower hills of the foothills of the Cascades. And, so we're looking forward to the pheasant opener next weekend. And, yeah, it's lots of stuff going on, lots of birds out there to shoot, and the dog sleeps a lot better at night when he's had a little bit of activity out there.
Well, this weekend, the 11th and 12th, is the opening weekend for duck hunting in Oregon and in Washington State. Where are some of the places that folks are going to be going, do you think?
I think, there's a lot of places people can go, anything over in Eastern Oregon, Summer Lake's always a really popular one. You've got Ladd Marsh, and there's some areas up near the Snake River that people go. And of course, Umatilla is always a good one. People go around Umatilla and Boardman, lots of places. And there's more water this year than there has been in the past. So the openers might be a little bit better than we've seen in the recent years anyway.
One place that's fallen on hard times, it used to be really good, Klamath Marsh. I remember when I was a kid, my dad took me there for my first duck hunt, but last year the numbers weren't very good there, and I understand drought conditions were the culprit. Yep.
Klamath has been rough here the last couple years, and honestly, I don't know what it's looking like this year. I believe that they're still in the drought. The drought hasn't been, there hasn't been much relief on that area down there recently.
So when it comes to opening day success, there's a lot of people out there. How do you stand out from the crowd and get your birds?
Well, opening day, the thing is, if you got people out there calling, I lay off the calls early in the season because the birds, over the last several months, they've forgot that it's hunting season. So when you're out there early in the season, they're pretty committed to come in. If you've got a little decoy spread around some food, they're probably going to drop right on in. I mean, you might have to chuckle at them a little bit, but usually if you hear a bunch of people calling at them like crazy, they're the ones that are actually scaring the birds early in the season rather than enticing them to come into your decoy spread.
Oh, yeah. And there sure are a lot of people calling on opening morning, that's for sure. It's a circus out there. At least it can be in public hunting areas.
Yeah.
Now, you actually have access to a private hunting area that you lease every year. Tell our listeners about this.
Yeah, it's, they do a lot of food plots. It's River Refuge Seed Company, and they do a lot of different food plots and private blinds, and they lease out blinds. There's a waiting list for people to get in there. And, they grow different things like millet and Sudan grass and, rice and different things and corn. And some grains, some other grains and clovers and stuff, that those ponds get flooded, and the birds, especially late in the season when the food's still there, they'll be in there throughout the November, December, and January time frames, and pretty good area. And back to the early season game, I know any fields that haven't been worked up by farmers, wheat fields, corn fields, any other grain fields, birds will come into those until they're actually plowed up and disced up. So keep an eye out for birds congregating in a lot of those areas where there's a lot of feed.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in the past, you've actually live streamed your hunts. You called it the Duck Chronicles. Are you going to be doing that again this season?
Well, yes, as long as, last year we didn't do one episode just because the hunting didn't even improve until January, and we didn't have, really anything to shoot on camera. But yeah, we plan on doing the Duck Blind Chronicles when, as long as there's some birds to shoot and people can enjoy watching that on the live stream through Facebook.
Yeah, I've got to admit, watching you not shoot any birds for like 3 hours would be a little bit boring.
Yeah, who wants to watch me sit there and talk about, Lord knows what, people want to see some action,
No kidding. All right. Well, let's talk about the next phase of the season, because this to me is the trickiest one. Opening weekend, the birds are completely uneducated, and it seems in just those 2 days, they get educated in a hurry. And you've got no northern birds, so you're dealing with the local birds for up to a month before you see anything new come down. And they're tough to decoy. They're tough to get at. What do you do to scrape out a limit?
The main thing on those birds, because like you said, they do wise up really quick. Those birds are going to go find places where they feel safe and they're not harassed. So what you got to do is you got to scout backwood sloughs or ponds that are out of the way, or, little sections of river or wherever you may be hunting, or where people aren't going to go. And it might take a little bit of work. You might have to hike in a mile with a few decoys and find these birds, because some of them will leave and migrate, and some of them will stay here. And the ones that stay here that have been shot at, you better find where they're feeling safe and happy, and that's where you're probably going to find success before the northern birds show up.
Here's a question for you. When, you're working these back sloughs and ponds and areas, and you jump some birds, do you take the long shot, or do you let it pass and get in there and hope that the birds come back?
Well, a lot of times they will come back, but if you're just walking sloughs and jumping birds, if I have my dog, or you have a good dog, it doesn't hurt to shoot a bird or two. Now, if you're planning on going and hunting the next day, you might not want to shoot at those birds, because naturally, there's animals that'll spook those birds up out of the sloughs anyway, and they don't know if you're a person or an animal. So if you're planning to hunt the next day and you're not hunting at the moment, I would not shoot at them. I'd just leave them alone, let them fly. They'll come back. They like where they are, and make that happen is what I do.
Gotcha. Any other tips you have when it comes to hunting early season educated local ducks?
The biggest thing is make sure you're concealed, because they are once they get wise up, wherever you end up and set up, good camouflage, a good blind, and a place to hide, and it will help you get those birds into where you want them to be. And because once they become wary, they become very wary, and their eyesight is amazing.
Oh, yeah. Their eyesight is absolutely amazing. Now, I'm guessing the Willamette Valley, you've got a real mixed bag of birds this time of year?
Yeah, we've got the first birds we see that show up here that aren't locals are like gadwalls and stuff, and they come in during the September goose season. And we've got a lot of local mallards. We've got some local widgeon and things like that, but there's plenty of local birds, and it seems like this season we've had some pretty good nesting success. We had water fairly late into the spring, even though we didn't have a lot of spring rains. So I think we're going to have some pretty good duck hunting early around this year if we can find some places to hunt that have water and feed for the birds.
Folks, if you hear a pack of chihuahuas in the background, that's because there's a pack of chihuahuas in the background in the other room that I have no idea why, but they are sounding the alarm. And I don't think it's because of you, Troy. Better for worse, I am tied in with my chihuahuas. On that note, we're going to have to go. But before we do, Troy, what are some publications that we can find your articles in this month?
Well, I'm going to have a feature article in Northwest Sportsman on waterfowl hunting, obviously, and then I'm going to have a Western Hunting Journal. I'm going to have a blacktail muzzleloader article out soon, and various bird hunting articles for Oregon Hunter magazine as well.
Fantastic. And folks, oh, by the way, another reason to pick up Northwest Sportsman magazine this month is because I've got an article in there too. It's 5 cast and blast destinations you don't want to miss here in the Great Northwest. Troy, thanks so much for your time today, and good luck this hunting season.
Hey, you too, John. Thanks for the call, and good talking to you.
Attention deer and elk hunters. If you encounter a check station when transporting your harvest, there are requirements to stop. Deer and elk may be tested for chronic wasting disease. Visit myodfw.com for check station locations and testing information.
Come to Oregon's Wallowa County for outdoors adventure. Hike, ride, paddle, fish, or sightsee to your heart's content. And then visit one of our wonderful towns, whether it be Joseph with its beautiful bronze statues, our county seat in Enterprise, or one of our charming small towns like Wallowa, Imnaha, or Troy, where you can eat, shop, and sleep before continuing your adventure the next day. Plan your visit now at WallowaCountyChamber.com. That's WallowaCountyChamber.com.
You're back in with Northwestern Outdoors Radio. I'm John Kruse, and we are chatting with Kyle Clark. He's the man behind PNW Fishing Adventures, and he wants to take you bass fishing in Western Washington. Kyle, welcome to the show.
Hey, John. Thanks for having me.
Before we get into the guide service part of this, let's talk a little bit about a tournament that you just fished. I understand it was a semifinal at Boardman, Oregon for the Bass Federation. Tell me more.
Yes, sir. So here in Washington and Oregon, both states hold their national semifinals tournament for the TBF at the same time. So we had that on the Umatilla Pool this last Saturday and Sunday, and we're able to crown Washington and Oregon state champions on the boater and co-angler side. Super fun tournament. Each boater from Washington gets paired with a co-angler from Oregon and vice versa. So it was fun meeting new people. I know on my end, I found a lot of good fish, caught a lot of good fish the first day, put myself in position to win it on Sunday. But unfortunately, my co-angler caught most of my good fish the second day, which was awesome. It was fantastic. I loved, seeing the joy netting his fish, and he is actually the alternate for the co-angler Oregon for the national championship next year. So that was cool to be able to put him in that position. Just want to say congratulations to my friend Tristan for winning the Oregon State Championship on the boater side. But it was a very fun weekend. The TBF with both states do a fantastic job and can't wait to do it again next year.
Now, let's talk about the championship. So presumably one co-angler place and win.
So we don't actually know yet. They're still trying to figure that out. It'll probably be in March or April of next year. Actually, each state will send 2 co-anglers and 2 boaters. Throughout the season, each state's champion, boater and co-angler, AOY champion, automatically got to go. And then the semifinal tournament is your last chance to punch your ticket to the national championship. So each state is actually sending 2 boaters and 2 co-anglers to the national championship.
And what's the prize money look like for the national champion, both the angler and co-angler?
So it is $125,000 for the boater.
Wow.
And I do believe it's around $35,000 for the co-angler.
That is some serious money there. Well, maybe next year you'll be the champion for Washington and you can go fish it and come back home with a whole bunch of money so you can buy another bass boat.
Yes, sir. That's the dream.
All right. We are in the heart of fall right now. I love October. It's a great month to be fishing for a couple reasons. Number one, a lot of anglers have hung up their rods and they're picking up their rifles or shotguns or bows or muzzle loaders and they're out hunting. So there's a lot more room to fish. And the fishing can be quite good in October. What are some things you like to do this time of year in terms of catching fish?
So as long as the water temps stay above 60, when I'm looking for largemouth, I am still fishing very shallow and covering a lot of water. A lot of bladed jigs, a lot of spinner baits, a lot of swim baits. Topwater is still a phenomenal choice to start your day out this time of year for largemouth, and it's typically what I'll start my days out as well. They'll be hanging around cover like docks, grass, wood, and a lot of times chasing a lot of bait, trying to fatten up before their winter pattern. Smallmouth, a lot of times I'll find them a little bit deeper already this time of year. I know on Lake Tapps, I'm already looking at 25 to 30 feet of water for smallmouth. But the cool thing is they're super grouped up, very schooled up, and once you can get one to go, the whole school tends to want to follow. So it's a very fun time of the year to fish for both species here in Western Washington.
So when you do find these schools, are you using jigs or are you using something else when they're down deeper?
When they're down deeper, a lot of times you can actually get them to come up. I'm a big fan of shaking a minnow with my forward-facing sonar. But if you don't have that, just throwing small swim baits will get them to go as well. Kitechs are a very good option on about a 1/4 ounce ball jig. Or you can go bigger and use like a 4.5 inch swammer from X-Zone as well. Gives a little bit skinnier profile, but longer, kind of like a perch. I like throwing those this time of year just because the perch tend to be schooled up out deep along with the smallmouth as well.
Let's talk about the largemouth bass. Again, you mentioned structure like docks and submerged stumps and trees, all places look for largemouth. They're not going to be nearly as deep in October, are they?
No, sir. I typically am fishing about 5 feet or less this time of year. I'm really wanting to target the aggressive fish that are feeding up for their winter pattern, and that tends to give me most of my action. There will be some largemouth out deeper already, but I honestly don't like wasting my time fishing for those. Those can be a little bit more stubborn. The ones up shallow will typically go. If you're not having a lot of wind, wacky rigs with Senkos is a great thing to use this time of year as well. But I always like to start out with reaction baits, like I mentioned earlier, bladed jigs, topwater, spinner baits, and swim baits.
You know, it's funny. I've always associated the spinner bait as more of a summer lure, but it's nice to know that you're having good success with it in the fall. Any particular colors?
A lot of, green pumpkins, anything that matches a perch, honestly, or a bluegill as well. You can go with chartreuse. Even a black and blue skirted swim bait, spinner bait this time of the year works great. And I also like to make sure I use a small swim bait trailer on those this time of the year to really mimic a bait fish.
All right. Well, let's talk about fishing with you. We'll start off with your boat. Tell us about it.
It's a 17.5-foot bass tracker. Nothing fancy, but it definitely gets the job done. I do have the Garmin LiveScope system on my boat, which definitely helps out with the smallmouth side of things this time of year. And I also don't just do bass fishing. This time of year is a phenomenal time to go crappie and perch fishing as well, as they are super schooled up and it can lead to a lot of action in a day and great table fare as well. I have a 60-horse Mercury outboard on my boat, and it's just a really fun boat to fish off of. I can take up to 2 other people with me on my trips, and also I don't charge extra for the extra person as well. So it's a $250 flat fee across the board.
That is a real bargain when it comes to guided fishing for, 1 or 2 people. That's fantastic. So what lakes are you fishing this month?
This month, I'm really concentrating on taps. It's probably my second favorite lake here in Western Washington, and it closes at the end of October. So I am trying to get as much time as I can before that happens out there. American Lake is a phenomenal lake this time as well. If you're targeting smallmouth, they're already super schooled up on American, and they are big. Don't be surprised to go out there and catch your PB over 6 pounds this time of year there. Wow. If I'm targeting largemouth, I'm probably going out to the Eatonville Lakes, Capalson, Ohop, Tanwax, to go chase my greenfish. And again, kind of like the smallmouth at American, it's a great time to go catch your PB largemouth out in Eatonville as well. So those are the lakes that I will concentrate on now until the end of October, pushing into November.
All right. Well, if you want to go on an affordable bass fishing trip, contact Kyle Clark. His website is pnwfishingadventures.com. That's pnwfishingadventures.com. Book today while the fishing's still great. Thanks so much, Kyle.
Oh, thanks for having me.
And one more thing I should clarify is that all these lakes we're talking about here are in Western Washington. So if you're in Montana or Idaho scratching your head, that's where Kyle does his guiding. But if you want to go to Western Washington or you live in Western Washington, again, very affordable price. Give Kyle a call and go bass fishing or panfish fishing this month. It's going to be good.
Attention hunters, if you harvest a deer or elk, have your harvest tested for chronic wasting disease. Help us prevent this deadly wildlife disease from entering Oregon. It's untreatable and always fatal to deer and elk. Get your harvest tested at an ODFW office, check station, meat processor, or taxidermist. Learn more about chronic wasting disease and getting your harvest tested at myodfw.com. That's myodfw.com.
Northeast Oregon's Wallowa County is the place to go for fun events. In January, it's the Eagle Cap Extreme Sled Dog Race. Chief Joseph Days in July boosts an incredible rodeo experience, and there's live music at the local venues all summer. Next comes the county fairs, followed by the Juniper Jam Music Festival, Hell's Canyon Mule Days, and the Oregon Alpine Fest. Finally, there's the Jingle Through the Joseph Holiday Bazaar and Parade. Find out more at wallawacountychamber.com.
Game-changing. That's the best way to describe the new Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher from Mack's Lure Company. This 360-degree rotational inline flasher features a scent release system attracting salmon to the lure behind it like no other flasher on the market. Soak the free scent pad with any type of oil or gel, or load up the cavity with any type of bait for fishing success beyond your wildest dreams. It's the Scent Flash UV Triangle Flasher, only from Mack's Lure Company.
Did you know we actually have a sponsorship opportunity available for this show? That's right. You can be a sponsor of Northwestern Outdoors Radio, reaching thousands of listeners every week, tuning in to 69 stations in 7 states. If you have a business that caters to outdoors enthusiasts, this is the platform for you, and you're going to find it's much more affordable than you think. Contact me through my website at northwesternoutdoors.com, and let's get a conversation started. That's northwesternoutdoors.com.
Our beautiful state of Oregon is worth protecting. Ever wondered? What does the fox say? That is the sound a Sierra Nevada red fox makes, a rare and sensitive species in Oregon that lives in the snowy crest of the Cascades. Together, we can preserve Oregon's natural wonders like the Sierra Nevada red fox. Oregon, it's worth protecting. Learn about the Sierra Nevada red fox, other species, and conservation efforts at OregonIsWorthProtecting.com.
Before we go today, we've got time for one last shot of Northwestern Outdoors Radio with your host, John Kruse.
I'm glad you're back. I've got one more outdoors news story I want to share with you, and this one is kind of bizarre. From Northwest Sportsman magazine, we learn that a volunteer at the Issaquah Salmon Hatchery, that's in Issaquah in western Washington, has been arrested after a long string of alleged fake 911 calls. The Issaquah Police Department reports the calls, spanning from late July through late September, triggered multiple full-scale emergency responses from law enforcement, Eastside Fire and Rescue, and Bellevue Medic 1. The suspect is a 21-year-old male hatchery volunteer, and he's been charged with 11 separate false reports. The first call that came in was July 29th, when a message submitted via the 988 online portal falsely reported an active shooter and hostage situation at the salmon hatchery. 10 Issaquah police officers responded with lights and sirens, which became dangerous to officers and the public. No threats or victims were found. The following day, a second report claimed a shooter with a bomb was at the hatchery. Again, no threat was found. On August 5th, a third report alleging gunfire at the hatchery. No one else heard it. And between September 16th and the 30th, a rapid escalation in frequency and detail of false reports, including fake stabbings, seizures, medical emergencies, and firearms threats. Police detectives investigated the case and confirmed the suspect was working at the hatchery at the time of the calls and had used false names and untraceable devices to conceal his identity. They also found that this man had a long past of making false 911 calls in the region. He was finally arrested after he falsely reported a medical emergency that did not exist, which was confirmed as being false by an undercover detective that they had placed at the hatchery. He admitted during a recorded interview to making the false reports. He cited emotional distress and poor decision-making. The individual was booked into the Issaquah City Jail on 10 counts of false reporting. drama at salmon hatcheries. You can't make this stuff up. On that point, it is time to go. If you didn't get to hear the show, you can hear it as a podcast. Just look for Northwestern Outdoors Radio. We'll have it uploaded in a few days. Until next time, do take care. God bless, and make it a point to spend some time outdoors.